Hey guys, welcome back. I'm so happy to do another episode. I'm pretty much trying to kind of fast track um our life so that way I can get down to starting episodes of like updating the week of if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I want to just say thank you for um, following me, for subscribing to my podcast, or just, listening to our story. And hopefully, through our story, you gain some knowledge, you gain some insight. Um, that way you can help others. So that's my goal. All right. So I would like to talk about the how we got to the point of doing genetic testing. So once we started like into physical therapy, um, the word hypotonia, just always I always thought that was like a diagnosis. When I talked to the rehab doctor, he just put it as the brain bleed caused the hypotonia. Okay. AKA also known as like low tone. So I joined some support groups on Facebook called Low Tones for Littles, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so I joined that group and I read posts and I asked questions, and in there they actually explained to me that hypotonia is not a diagnosis. Hypotonia is a symptom of something much larger. So I began talking to our doctors and asking, like, what can we do to find out what caused the hypotonia? Rehab doctors like, oh, well, the blood is what caused it. Um, And then if you talk to my pediatrician, he looked like a deer in headlights whenever I would talk about like Carter's condition and what he was going through. So, I asked and I also read in this work group that you need to be asking for a full exome panel of genetics. So, I did. I kept asking my pediatrician for this test. And I kept getting, oh, I don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do that. How do you do that? So I want to say it was after he was one, and maybe around 15 months, give or take, maybe between 12 and 15 months, we went to a checkup, and I mentioned the genetic testing yet again. And he was like, well, I thought we already did this. And I'm like, did what? I thought I got you a referral to genetics. I've been asking for how many months? And you haven't even indicated that that's what I needed to do. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to get you into see genetics. I'm like, okay, great. Thank you. So he got me into genetics. We got an appointment. Well, then through um, more therapies and stuff like that, we wound up going to child development. And normally that's like a really long wait. But I guess from what they told me is because Carter had an OT, Carter had a speech therapist, Carter had all these therapies, and also had the brain bleed and when he was 6 months. For some reason, we got lucky and they wanted to see us like immediately. So we had an appointment on the books already for child development. And so we decided to just wait it out like everyone else does. Got a call, like I said, they wanted to see us early. Turns out they had the day before we went to see genetics. Okay, we can do this. So we went to child development. She said that she wanted to diagnose Carter with autism because he was unable to speak. He had some sensory issues. He barely could walk. So she felt at the time giving him a diagnosis of autism would help him in the long run. They asked us if we wanted to do genetic testing while we were in the office. Yeah, of course they do. Well, just as an FYI, child development can only look for markers in genetics for things that would create autism. So it was really good that we had the appointment with genetics the very next day. So, anyways, we did that. They sent it off. Well, the next day we met with genetics and we explained the whole situation. Of course, they could see his chart and everything. So we were going to start with like basic genetic testing. We weren't going to go further just yet. They wanted to do some blood work and check those things out too. And so, but I wanted answers. So I was like, because they said that the test we could get would be a take home test and we would do it at home. They would mail it to us and we would do it. And I was like, okay, we can do this. So they confirmed that my insurance would cover it, and it did. So we left after we did all the testing and everything, and all those tests that they ran that day came out great. Nothing came back. Then they sent us in the mail. We had to go over on a video chat like what genetics was. It was something my insurance required. So we just had to watch them explain how DNA works and all that jazz. So we went through that with them, and she sent us out the mail, the test and everything, and we did the test, and we sent it. I want to say near the end of December, is when we wound up sending it off, and we got the test back in April. Yeah, April. But I got a response on my email about it. But when I called the genetics doctor, she had been sitting on it for a few days researching it. The ones that child development did, they came back great. Nothing came back. Um, so when the doctor got on a video chat with us, um, she was like, I wanted to research this before I met with you. She said, because these findings, one of them is pretty serious, because it's just unknown. And I'm like, huh? So Carter was diagnosed with a neuromuscular leukodystrophy called UBTF. It's like upline binary something something. It's a big long scientific thing, and it controls like your white matter. It also controls like your movements, your ability to eat, your ability to talk. It mimics autism. So that is our answer for his inability to be able to talk to us and his autism. I'm not gonna lie, I had no idea how much more serious this one is until we met with another doctor, and I'll get to it in a minute. So the next thing that Carter actually has is called SDHA. That one is a little bit more known, but not so much. So it's called SDHA, and what that does is it suppresses little tumors in the bloodstream, the adrenal glands, pretty much. Um, Basically, like it could create tumors, and sometimes they could become cancerous, but majority of them, if they manifest, are benign. However, through discovery, if he ever develops a tumor, he has to have it surgically removed. They do have a little bit more information on SDHA versus my son's variant of the UBTF. It's just a little bit less. So it is still in the ultra rare category. It just has a little bit more knowledge, you know. Um, the other one we have that Carter has, the UBTF, it is broken basically. It's not broken. Let's just put that. It's just not working properly, is what we were told. We just don't know when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. You know, we just don't know. There is a main variant of the UBTF gene called the E210K. That is the more known variant. There's a very few like ultra variant kids with this DNA mutation um that is ultra rare, but they're just single. They're by themselves. But with the E210K, you will lose the kids start to regress between the ages of 3 to 5. Mind you, my son right now is almost 3. So, anyways, we're talking to the genetic doctor, and she's like, I need to get up with a colleague of mine and see if she's ever seen a patient with this mutation. And she did. She had seen a patient with this mutation. So within 2 weeks, we were on our way to Washington, D.C., to Children's National to meet with this disease team. Um, and, she got back history on me. She got back history on his father. She got back history on Carter, and so this is something I didn't mention. So on the test that you get back, it also tells you like if it's inherited, if it's not inherited, if it's where did it come from? Well, our variant is very ultra rare because we actually have the only ultra rare variant that is heredity. I have the UBTF gene mutation. I did not know that I had the UBT gene mutation. Remember, in a previous podcast, I spoke about the white matter disease that I was diagnosed with that was unspecified, that my neuro at the time thought that it was just migraines. Yeah, that was it. All my cognitive abilities that I struggled with through my entire life, that was the UBTF gene mutation. Um, Now I only have maybe 29%, and in that 29%, it's like of a mosaic pattern. So it's not like all full of the 29%. So it's kind of like in that DNA strain, it's like patches. I have patches of the mutation. So I'm not experiencing the damage that my son is. Um, so anyways, we go up to DC, and on the way to DC to talk to these doctors, I'm actually researching and researching and researching, and I find a mom who has a blog online, and her daughter is much older than Carter now. Um, and it's just so heartbreaking. I'll have to ask her permission to mention her information one day if she wants to, but I think she's going through some stuff right now. Um, it's a very hard disease. It really is. And we're just at the beginning. But anyways, so I met her. I didn't like speak to her immediately. I then went to Facebook and I looked up this gene DNA to see if there was anyone with a support system of it. I also looked up SDHA. The only one I could find was the UBTF. I've been in all the ultra rare groups, cannot find SDHA anywhere in any of those groups. So if anyone knows anyone with SDHA, please reach out and let me know. I'm on social media, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. Come find me and let me know if you have anyone that you know of that has SDHA. Anyways, back to the program. Um, so UBTF has a support group. Great. So I joined the group. The admins are, lo and behold, the girl I found her article online. I'm like, okay. And then there is another admin, and she's in a different country. And these ladies have been through it with their girls. They have girls, they're older, they're in their 20s. Um, and it's not looking good for them, unfortunately. Um, so, I learned through that group that in America, in Boston, Boston Children's, there is a doctor, a neuro, called Dr. Eichler, and another one called Dr. Nagy. And so I got a hold of Eichler's email through a friend of mine on Facebook. She had a friend who knew someone that worked with Eichler, and I was able to get an email, and I emailed him, and we conversed back and forth with each other. I've never actually met him. Um, when I got to DC, I told the doctor there, her name is Jamie Fraser. She's the head of the leukodystrophy um, Wyland White Matter Clinic up there in DC at Children's National. And I let her know about Dr. Eichler and how he's working on a cure. So they got connected with each other. And they are communicating back and forth with each other. The only problem is funding, and so every meeting we have, she mentions funding, funding, funding. So the last meeting I had with her, I don't know. Anyways, we'll go through that later. Anyways, um, I have ADD. I apologize. I have my random thoughts. So we get up there and she tells me, how much do I know about UBTF? And I said, it sounds like it's not good. I said, so what about my son? And she told me the possibilities of what would happen to our son. And she said to just let her do the medical and me just enjoy my son. And that's not me. And she's learning quick. That's not me. I advocate for my son at all costs. And you have to. You have to do research. You have to do this. I feel like I've got a lot that I need to still be doing. Um through making like TikToks and things like that. Um I'm advocating for my son. So basically that is how we started this whole entire journey with learning about the DNA and genetics and everything. So my, you know, FYI, my public service announcement would be basically if you are listening to old things being said like, oh, they'll do this in their own time. They'll do this in their own time. Just don't listen to that. If you got gut feelings that your kid is not where they need to be, you have gut feelings, ladies. Parents, you have parental instincts with your own kid. It comes natural sometimes to us. Fight for your child. Talk to your doctors. You have the information now. The only hurdle you will ever have to face is the financial aspect of any of this. And also, like, the availability depending on where you are, as far as in which county, which state, which country, that's your only hurdles. Um, it's very imperative that if you have a kid that is not meeting milestones or regresses, immediately go seek tests. Get your tests done. I would like to advocate for out of the womb genetic testing. That would be helpful because then the parents will know. So, what we did when we got the phone call about the genetic testing, they asked us, do you want to know what could happen to him in the future? Yes. I want to know, is there anything that could harm my son medically in his adulthood? Yes. By all means, let me know. um I want to know. So that is definitely what this podcast episode is about. Like, get your test done. It's a full exome test, full test. Just tell them, like, I want all the genetic tests that you can run just to find out what is going on with my child. It doesn't even have to be the fact that, like, my son had a brain bleed. As I know it, none of the kids that have UBTF have had a brain bleed. So I have a feeling that was a separate medical condition for my son because UBTF, you have multiple things that can happen with the kids. So I have a feeling that is just totally separate from the disease, but I found more answers than I wanted. But at the same time, I'm glad I can hopefully get my son the help he needs to hopefully save his life. Um, all because I advocated for my son. I asked questions. I pushed for answers. And I didn't give up. I did not give up. My pediatrician was like not hearing me, you know, And I knew I was asking the right questions. I just didn't know there was such thing as a pediatric genetic doctor. No clue. So anyways, I've learned so much through my son's disease than I ever knew that I could learn. And yeah, it's definitely an educational experience. So I hope that with my podcast, with my episodes, I can bring a little education and some knowledge. Um, so yeah, hopefully this was very insightful to you. Hopefully you were able to follow along. So um, till next time, I feel like the next episode that I would like to start basing on is the mental health, technically, behind getting a diagnosis. Um, like your thoughts, your feelings. So, and then navigating all the therapies. Like, it's very daunting and it's very overwhelming. So, that will be for my next episode. So stay tuned. Thank you for listening, and I hope that you have a good night. Thank you.